The Federal Reserve did a study, and what they found should genuinely disturb you. Most people, not some people, most people actually get richer in the first 10 years after they retire. Not poorer, richer. Their net worth goes up after they stop working. Think about what that means for a second. You have been told your entire working life that retirement is the finish line. You save, you sacrifice, you build, and then you get there, you stop earning, and you slowly spend it all down until it runs out. That is the story. That is the fear. That is what every financial warning you have ever heard is based on. But the data says something completely different. So either most people are doing something in retirement that nobody told them about while they were still working, or there is a mechanic happening in retirement that almost nobody understands until they actually get there. Both things are true. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what those mechanics are. Because understanding them now, while you're still working, changes every financial decision you make between today and the day you stop. There are 4 specific reasons why retirement makes people richer. Each one is something you can use right now.
Reason 1. The hidden salary you never knew you had. Here is something nobody ever calculates. Your job is expensive, not the job itself, the cost of having a job. Think about what you spend every single month just to be employed. The commute, petrol or train tickets or bus passes, the work clothes, the dry cleaning, lunch every day because you are out of the house and time is too tight to cook, the coffee at 7 in the morning because you have to be somewhere, childcare because both parents work full-time, the convenience food, the takeaways, the shortcuts you take because you are exhausted from a full week. When researchers actually add this up, all the money people spend simply to maintain being employed, the number is staggering. For most households, it comes to somewhere between 500 and 1,200 pounds or dollars every single month. Every month, just to go to work. The moment you retire, that entire expense disappears overnight. You still have the same pension, the same savings, the same Social Security or state pension coming in, but now you have an extra $500 to $1,200 a month that was previously being consumed by the machinery of employment, and it just stops leaving. That is not a metaphor. That is a cash flow change that hits your bank account immediately on day 1 of retirement. And here is why this matters to you right now. If you are spending that money today, it is invisible to you. It doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like the cost of being an adult, but every pound of it is worth understanding because it is the first.
Reason 2. The compounding that nobody interrupted. I want you to picture someone who retired at 65 with 400,000 pounds in a pension. Most people assume they immediately start drawing it down, living off it, shrinking it. But here is what actually happens for many retirees. Their state pension covers their basic living costs. Their work pension, the 400,000, they barely touch it. And while they are not touching it, it is still invested, still compounding, still growing. At a modest 7% annual return, 400,000 pounds becomes 800,000 in 10 years. Not because they added anything, because they left it alone. This is the mechanic that completely blindsides most people. They spent 30 years worried about accumulating enough to retire on, and then they reach retirement and discover the accumulation does not stop. The machine they built keeps running. The people whose net worth grows fastest after retirement are almost always the ones who set up multiple income streams before retiring. State pension, private pension, maybe some rental income.
Reason 3. The spending shift nobody warns you about. This one surprises people the most when they actually hit retirement. And it surprised me too when I first looked at the numbers. Spending goes down. Not because retired people are miserable or cutting back on things they love, but because an enormous amount of what working people spend money on is tied to the social performance of being employed. The house in the right postcode because it needs to be near the school and the commute. The car that projects success because you see colleagues and clients. The dinner's out because you are too tired to cook and you deserve a break. The holidays that are expensive because you only get 4 weeks a year and you need them to count. When the structure of employment falls away, most people discover they spend significantly less and feel significantly happier.
They cook more because they have time. They take longer holidays that cost less per day because they are not squeezed into peak season. They stop buying things they bought to reward themselves for a week they did not enjoy. The Federal Reserve data found that spending typically drops by around 15 to 20% in the first years of retirement for most households.
Not because people became frugal, because the expensive scaffolding of working life just came down. And here is the maths. If your income stays roughly the same and your spending drops 15%, your net worth has to go up. It is arithmetic.
Reason 4. The asset nobody counts until it counts. The fourth reason is the quietest one. And for many people, it is the biggest. Home equity. Most people who retire in their mid to late 60s have been in their home for 20 or 30 years. The mortgage is paid off or nearly paid off. And while they were busy working and not paying attention, the house was appreciating. A home bought for $80,000 in 1995 in most UK cities is worth $400,000 to $600,000 today. That appreciation sat quietly on a balance sheet that most people never looked at while they were focused on their salary and their pension. But it counts. It is real wealth. And when people hit retirement and finally take stock of their full financial picture, that number changes everything. Some retirees downsize and release $300,000 in tax-free equity that they never expected to have. Others stay in the house, but have the security of knowing it is there. Either way, it lands on the net worth calculation, and it makes the number significantly larger than the number they were imagining when they were scared about retirement in their 40s. If you own property right now, even if you feel like you are just about managing the mortgage, you are building this quietly in the background. It will show up. It always shows up.
Here is the thing I want you to take away from this. The people who get richer after retirement are not lucky. They are not anomalies. They are not people who earned more than you or saved harder than you. They are people who, either by design or by accident, had 3 or 4 things working simultaneously when they stopped working. Work costs disappeared. Capital kept compounding. Spending naturally dropped. Assets appreciated silently for decades. And here is what makes this genuinely urgent. Every single one of those 4 things is something you can understand and set up intentionally right now, regardless of how far from retirement you are. The people who get richer after retirement usually did not plan it specifically. Imagine what happens when you plan it deliberately. That is the point of understanding this now, not when you were 65, now. If this video changed how you think about retirement, share it with one person who's still running the old story in their head. The one that says retirement is where wealth goes to die because the data says otherwise, and they deserve to know. Subscribe. I will see you in the next one.